Over the multiple different videos I've done here on the GameLeap channel, there's one thing that I bring up fairly often, and that's the roles and playstyles different legends have. But thanks to philosophy, I was reminded that I've never really done a video explaining how to find what playstyle best fits you. And also there's another comment by Eli B pointing out that we don't really use a lot of my own gameplay, so this video has a bunch of my own footage in it to satisfy those people. So hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8 Second Gaming, and in today's video I'm going to be breaking down the different roles and playstyles so that you can start figuring out what best one suits you. And though I will be covering some basic things about the different legends in this video, if you guys are really looking to dive deep and learn everything about these legends, you need to check out the GameLeap website right now. Over there we have highly in-depth content from top level coaches including myself that go over very specific areas of Apex. So no matter what you're struggling with, the GameLeap website is there to help you. If you want to join, click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership and start climbing today. Now, when first trying to figure out your playstyle, you have to understand the different roles in Apex, and Apex has 4 main ones. There's Entry Fragger, Secondary Fragger, Support, and IGL. So let's start off with Entry Fragger. This is a role for players who really enjoy being self-sufficient and aggressive. They need to be the ones putting pressure on teams, and they need to be constantly trying to get advantages for their team to push off of. The best legends to play for this role are Wraith, Octane, and sometimes Ashe. Because of Apex's fast-paced fights, especially in close range, entry fraggers need abilities that complement that fast playstyle. Octane has his stim and his jump pad, Wraith has her portal and phase, and Ashe has her portal. Ashe is more of a secondary fragger, but in certain team comps she can be used to entry frag. Using these legends abilities, you can gain an upper hand on individual fights without much assistance from your team. The entry fragger has to be a player who's confident in their aim and their ability to take fights. You also need to be fairly selfless and willing to take risky plays in order to set your team up for success in games. For example, when pushing a team, the entry fragger is always the first one into the fight. You're looking to get cracks or knocks and apply pressure. With this pressure, your team won't have many eyes on them, and that will allow them to push up with less contention. As an entry fragger, you need to be cool, calm, and collected because you need to be dealing out damage to make the enemy team easy cleanup kills for your squad as soon as they arrive. There can also be times where you're able to play very split from your team, holding separate buildings or playing highly aggressive in choke points because your character's ability to get back to your team safely allows you to do so. Because of the highly aggressive nature of this role, you're likely going to be going into fights with less information, so always be aware of that. This role is very flashy at times, and if done correctly can absolutely dominate teams with how much pressure you are able to apply. A good entry fragger opens up a lot of opportunity for teams in fights, and is definitely a role that players have a love-hate relationship with due to the circumstances you can find yourself in. When playing this role, you have to trust your teammates 100%. You need to trust their calls on enemies repositioning, and you need to be able to trust that they will back you up when drawing attention off of them. If you're wanting to be an entry fragger, you need to be willing to drop any ego you may have and make sure all of your actions are what's best for the team and not what's best for you. If this highly aggressive playmaker sounds like you, then make sure to start maining one of the legends I've mentioned before and adapt the mindset that I've laid out. But now we can move on and dive into the secondary fragger role. If you play something like Valorant, this is similar to the Initiator, as they are the ones whose abilities really set up plays and give information in fights. Secondary fraggers do cover most of the legends in Apex, but the main ones in the meta currently are people like Bloodhound, Valkyrie, and Ashe. Bloodhound scans give out a ton of information in fights, letting you know exactly where everyone is playing and allows you to set up an attack accordingly. Valkyrie's kit lets your team extend fights and not have to worry about rotations, plus she can help take new angles in fights and lock down players with her rockets. And Ashe is more of a secondary fragger because her kit is more based around singling out targets and then pouncing on them when they're vulnerable. With this role, you are more focused on getting your abilities out at the start of fights, so you don't want to be at the front. Your position should actually be right beside the support player in fights most of the time because supports can get overwhelmed easily. You need to be looking to protect them until you're all close enough in the fight that you can break off. When you let your entry fragger take the heat, you can then use your abilities freely and not be worried about getting picked off at the start of the fight. If you're unable to use those game-changing abilities, you aren't much help to the team. Now, secondary fraggers are really more about setting your team up to get kills and not really getting them yourself. This can be risky because Apex's assist system is weird, but most of the time it works out perfectly fine. Using your abilities properly can give the entry fragger the information that they need in fights or help lock someone down to the point that they are a free cleanup from either of your teammates. Though sometimes secondary fraggers need to be aggressive. Bloodhound's ultimate is a good example. When the time comes, you're still able to be pumping out information, but the speed boost allows you to chase down kills or help reposition to a teammate in need. If this sounds like your cup of tea, then congratulations, you're a secondary fragger. Now we can talk about the role that no one really wants to play, but everyone wants on their team. This is the support role. This is a player that's really less concerned about fragging out and more concerned about helping the team win and setting them up in fights. A support player is always going to be playing in the backline and focused on assisting the team in any way they can in order to have a better chance at winning fights and therefore winning games. Examples are helping teammates finish kills, controlling certain areas with abilities, as well as rotating in fights in order to back up the player that is most in need. The best legends for this role are Lifeline and Gibraltar. Though Lifeline has no offensive abilities and is very one-dimensional, she can easily res teammates and keep them safe while they heal up. And then you have Gibby, whose every ability is designed around helping the team. You have the Dome for faster res and mobile cover, you have his ultimate to pressure teams off spots or delay their pushes, and his arm shield helps win trades up close when needed. Support players really shine at resetting fights and when your team is on the defensive after a fight or when being pushed. When just running around, you want to be at the back of your team as to not be the focus. If you get caught out and focused in fights, you'll have to burn a very key ability that can lead to your team dying. Something like a Gibraltar bubble being forced out is huge, and it's not an ability that you can just use randomly. Though when in a fight, you want to kind of play towards the middle of both teammates so that no matter what, you can rotate to either them or both of them can easily get to you if you're in trouble. When in fights, you want to be dealing as much damage as you can. Your abilities aren't needed until your team is knocked or close to. So before that happens, you need to be helping clean up kills or set your entry fragger up to get them. Because a support player is typically playing at longer ranges, guns like marksman or sniper rifles are a great asset to you. These guns are also good because if your team is holding a building, you can look to poke other people to level up your Evo armor. You can then trade this out to your team and level up theirs, and that sets you up better for fights, having more health to work with. I personally play support for my team when we're in something like scrims or tournaments, so if you're looking to see how I do it, come check out one of my streams over on Twitch TV/8second gaming. I would love to see some of you aspiring supports over there. But now lastly, we need to talk about the in-game leader or IGL. If you're a player who loves to strategize and think everything out for the team, this is the role for you. The IGL does go on top of another role, so an entry fragger can also be an IGL or a support can be an IGL. And the IGL is the one that communicates the most and calls the shots for the team. This player needs to be very confident as this will make your team believe in you and not doubt your calls. With this role, you have to take in the most amount of information in order to figure out the best course of action for you and your squad. You constantly need to be thinking about things like where are the enemies playing, how long a rotation should take, where the zone is going to be pulling, and if plan A doesn't work, what's plan B, C, D, and so on. There are tons more to be thinking about, but those are just examples. And once you've thought about those things, you can figure out a game plan and then communicate that with your team. Depending on those things, you may need to play edge because every playable spot in zone is taken. Or you may need to use Valkyrie ult to get out of a high traffic area before other teams show up. Now as for what legends best fit this role, most of the time it's an entry fragger. The confidence that these roles need go hand in hand, but that doesn't mean that they have to be. Some professional teams have other legends like a Crypto as the IGL. It really depends on the team and who you trust to lead you, so pick someone who's confident and knows a lot about the game. And if you're thinking that you want to be an IGL, crack open a textbook and start learning every small aspect of Apex because you'll need it. Finding a role can sometimes be hard, and sometimes the legend you play doesn't exactly fit into a role. Someone like Mirage doesn't really have any abilities to make him fit into a specific role, so if you want to play him, you kinda need to work around that. But I hope this video helps you guys out, even just a little bit, and if it did, let me know in the comments what role you'd think you'd best fit into or what one you're looking to start playing. Also, if you guys want to stay up to date with even more Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming, and I will see you in the next one.